Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. I got a new poster. This is the painting. That's the actual picture. And I don't know. I went and got a new one just because I wanted to get a new one and see how it looks. Why did I choose this picture? This is the only picture of me at 19 that exists. I have pictures of me at 18. I have pictures of me at 20, which was my release picture. But this is the only one that exists of me at 19. And this is right when I hit Lancaster, CI. It's one of my favorite pictures because it pretty much sums up prison for me in a picture. You know what I mean? The look of the picture, the cut that was down my face, that was fresh. So yeah, got the new poster. Hope y'all like it. But for this video here, this is going to be about my paperwork. Now, I pulled as much paperwork as I could off of the Hillsborough County Clerk website, which is, of course, how you obtain your paperwork. You have to go through the county system that you obviously got arrested in. You know what I mean? And there's like some other shit that I didn't print out that's just like the bullshit, the shit that you don't really need to read. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he got a public defender, this and that. So I don't have that. What I did focus on, though, is a few specific things, not for any other reason than to tell the story of my arrest, my charges, and my sentencing. This is not a video being based off of other videos. This is not a video trying to prove anything. I don't give a fuck about any of that. This is a video that actually will tell you the story of my arrest and charges through the eyes of the police and the state. So it's giving you a whole nother perspective aside from the story that I've told y'all, and you get to hear it in detail from another source. Now, this very first paper, this is the criminal report affidavit. This is my arrest paperwork. This was when I was arrested for my gun charge. And if you guys followed me since Lockdown 23 and 1, my original interview, this is the arrest behind that story when I was walking home with a couple of friends from a party in Sulphur Springs. And, you know, everyone that's from Tampa, you know Sulphur Springs is the hood, North Tampa. We were walking home. Somebody called and said that we tried to break into a car, which we never did. And the police came through, and this is what follows. So as you guys can see, my location of arrest was Lamar Ave and Waters Ave. Gives you the date, 12/7/2012. And then, of course, my name, Jacob Cherry. My complexion, my build, height, 6 foot, weight, 210. I don't know why everybody thinks I'm lying when I tell them 6 foot, 210. That's what I was when I went in. I was in shape, da-da-da. Oh no, you're lying. You weren't built like us. You weren't doing enough burpees. Like, come on, bro. I had just got out of a little program. I was boxing. I was in shape. We had weights, and I still had a gun, but I can knock your ass out. Now, as you can see on the paper, I was gang affiliated at this point. I was already in the system from being in the juvenile system. So gang member was marked yes. It says Bloods, birthplace, mass. Tattoos on face, Chinese symbol, tats on chest. They didn't include my arms or anything else. It is what it is. And then I have my co-defendant, Camilo Giraldo. Shout out to my dog Milo. He's actually in prison right now. He's going to be wrapping up his bid and he's coming home in a few months. So I'm really excited for bro. But hey, shout out to you. Now you can see my charge says carry a concealed firearm, and the description is a handgun, Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm, and it gives the serial number description. Now I did have accessories on this gun. There was a tactical light, there was an extended grip, there was hollow points inside of it, 17 rounds in the mag, 15 were in it because 2 got shot off earlier that day. But yeah, that's what I got caught with. None of that is additional charges. I know a lot of people ask, like, do you get in trouble for laser lights and all that? Not in Florida. You can have extended magazines, you can have lights, you can have all the tactical shit, red dots. None of that is an additional charge. Not even the hollow points. Now the arrest report says, on listed date and time, defendant and co-defendant were observed attempting to break into victim's vehicle. Both defendants were stopped on East Waters Ave and Lamar Street. Victim ID'd both defendants on scene. Search incident to arrest recovered a stolen firearm in the defendant's right front pocket. Smith & Wesson 9mm serial number da-da-da. The defendant was ID'd verbally and mugshot. Now there was 3 of us when this happened. It was me, it was Milo, and it was actually a female. But the female that was with us didn't get arrested. The reason being, I don't know why they said me and Camilo were breaking into a car, because that actually never happened, and that burglary of a conveyance was immediately dropped once I went to county. So that right there, you know, I believe none of this case should have actually happened after that point, because the initial reason for searching me, which was a burglary on a car, was dropped. We never did it, and I can say that we never did it. You know, we just didn't do it. We walked by, a dog was barking, the lady called the police. It was like the one white lady that lived in this fucking neighborhood, so she's probably paranoid. People are trying to break into her shit. She had a Volkswagen Jetta. Who the fuck is breaking into that? Anyways, I was arrested, obviously, for having the gun, and it wasn't in my pocket. It was on my waistband. And Camilo was arrested because he was in possession of marijuana. He was 17 at the time. I had just turned 18, so I went to county, and he went to the juvenile detention center. That was the last time I saw Camilo in 2012 up until, you know, now. I still haven't seen him. And I just remember we were in two different police cars. Mine was on this side and his was right there. We were both in the back seat, and I'm just looking over at him like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was drunk, I was high. We were hanging the fuck out. I didn't care that I got arrested. I had that I don't give a fuck mentality. And, you know, even when shit goes bad, I always try to stay uplifted, even in the worst of situations. But that was the last time I seen my dog. And this is how everything played out. Now, this paper that I'm going to show y'all is a very important paper for the simple fact that my co-defendant, not Camilo stays strong. My co-defendant, Tyrell, I'm not going to put his whole name out there, just for the simple fact that this video isn't about exposing anyone. If y'all look up the case, that's fine. Like I said, Tyrell is the one that snitched on me, and he got out. He's gotten a job. He's taking care of his kid. That's the most important thing. It is what it is. We were doing whatever we were doing back then. You told on me. I had to do my time. I fucked up by giving you something to tell on me for. I should have never did anything with you. And I can't blame someone for telling on me. I can hold them to it. I can never fuck with them again. But the fact that he got out and he isn't throwing up gang signs and acting like he's a badass, he's working, he's taking care of his kid. So I'm not really going to expose him anymore than his first name, just for the fact that we're looking at paperwork, and I don't want his name being confused with Milo. Now, this paper right here is a notice of defendant's invocation of constitutional rights. It says, I do hereby invoke my right to counsel, Therefore, I demand that no local, state, or federal police or prosecution personnel, nor detention, jail, or prison personnel, including jail inmates acting at the request or direction of such personnel, attempt to engage me in any conversation whatsoever concerning any crime or criminal activity without first providing me an attorney and having that attorney present. You see my name is signed. This is a paper pretty much stating, don't fucking talk to me. I don't want to speak to none of y'all without a lawyer. And my co-defendant Tyrell does not have this paper on his paperwork. Now, Tyrell has multiple charges if anyone does end up looking him up. He caught charges later, I think in, 2015 or 16. Those are completely unrelated to me. And in those cases, he did sign this paper. But in this case, the case with me, with him being my co-defendant, he didn't sign this paper. And he was giving everything up, and he was telling on me. And we're going to get into that. Now, like I said, I believe that because the initial reason the police were called was due to a burglary of a conveyance, which is a burglary on a vehicle, and that charge was immediately dropped because it was proven it never even fucking happens, that the rest of my case should have been dismissed. So I put in a motion to suppress the physical evidence, which was the firearm, because the initial reason of the call was for the burglary of a car. And because that happened, that was the reason they searched me for the gun. So if the initial charge is thrown out, then the search and anything that follows should be thrown out. So this is my motion to suppress the physical evidence. Comes now the defendant, Jacob Cherry. Sounding all presidential and shit. Evidence to be suppressed. Mr. Cherry is charged with carrying a concealed firearm. As a result of the evidence obtained, Mr. Cherry was charged with armed burglary of a dwelling, grand theft firearm, and grand theft. The defendant respectfully requests this honorable court to suppress any and all evidence located on Mr. Cherry's person that stemmed from the illegal detention of Mr. Cherry, specifically the firearm. Ground for suppression. The defendant was seized and searched in contravention to the 4th Amendment of the United States Constitution, and any evidence obtained because of the illegal seizure is the fruit of the poisonous tree and should be suppressed. Now this is where you actually get to hear the story and not all the bullshit court gibberish. I don't even be understanding it. To me, reading some of this shit is like reading the Bible. Their how, she's how. Factual basis. On October 7th, 2012, Officer James Houston responded to an automobile burglary call on 804 Sword Street East in Tampa, Florida. Officer Houston received from dispatch information regarding the attempted crime and the description of the 3 individuals involved. The complainant had reported that there were 3 males involved. One wore a red shirt and camo-style pants. That was me. So if y'all look on my Instagram, the original mugshot of me where I got the red LIG shirt, that was the shirt that I was wearing. And then I have another picture of me with a polo shirt and camo shorts. Those were the shorts that I got arrested in. The second had a white shirt and camo pants. The third individual was not described. The officer was not given a description of age or race or any other identifying information. Officer Houston, when he responded to the area, observed an individual later identified as Jacob Cherry standing next to the bushes on Lamar Avenue North. He was wearing a red shirt and camo pants. He was not observed carrying any objects or doing anything. Liar! I was on the phone making a phone call by the bushes. But I wasn't really by the bushes. I was just on the side of the fucking street. It's Florida. We got wild fucking vegetation growing everywhere. The officer observed 2 other individuals walking towards Mr. Cherry, but 30 feet away. The officer did not know if these individuals were with Mr. Cherry. Like I said, I was on the phone. It was a private conversation. I was probably talking to a girl. I didn't want them to hear what I was talking about. So I walked up a little bit further away from them. And you know, they were behind me just chilling. The officer used his overhead lights and spotlight and illuminated Mr. Cherry. The officer gave Mr. Cherry commands to walk over to the police car and place his hands on his car. Mr. Cherry initially hesitated. Of fucking course I did. But later complied when the officer threatened to release his canine partner. Officer Houston also detained the 2 other individuals, a male and a female. Officer Houston called other units to the scene for backup. Officers arrived. The complainant was brought over and identified Mr. Cherry as one of the 3 people involved in the car incident. After the identification, Mr. Cherry was placed in handcuffs and subsequently searched. At that time, Officer Houston located a firearm on Mr. Cherry's person. This firearm was checked, and police discovered that the firearm had been reported stolen in a burglary. Mr. Cherry was then placed under arrest. Now, like I said in Lockdown 23-1, I was searched twice. The first time they searched me, he didn't find nothing. Stupid ass cadet. Probably just got out of the fucking academy. The second time I was searched, it was by the higher up superior with all the fancy fucking shit on his arm. And you know, he found the gun. Legal authority. An investigatory stop involves 4th Amendment protections. Thus, in order to justify an investigatory stop of an individual or a car, an officer must have a reasonable, well-founded suspicion that the person has committed, is committing, or is about to commit a criminal offense. Now, the rest of this paper is basically just stating why and citing, laws and cases as far as to why that this should be thrown out, how it was bullshit, how the original thing got dropped, and this should get dropped too, this, that, and the third. And this paper is none other than the order denying my motion to suppress physical evidence from the illegal detention of the defendant. So basically, they said that they had enough suspicion based on the fact that I matched the clothing and I was standing in a bush. That was enough for them to search me. Therefore, I could not get my gun charge thrown out, which was pretty much the only fighting chance I had. Because if my gun charge was thrown out, that gun was one of the only connections to me and the armed burglary that I was charged with. So there was an armed burglary, grand theft of 15 firearms, and grand theft 5,000 to 10,000. So I had those charges. This gun linked me to that. The only other link was my co-defendant snitching. But I'm going to get into that and break down a little bit how I believe I could have beat that as well. But let me just read this a little bit and it'll tell you why I pretty much got fucked on the motion to suppress. Factual background. October 7, 2012, the Tampa Police Department arrested moi on burglary, and carrying a concealed firearm, On January 7, 2013, defendant filed a motion to suppress, which he argued that his stop was illegal because it was not based upon a reasonable suspicion that a crime was committed. At the hearing of this motion, the state called TPD officer James Houston to testify to the events surrounding defendant's arrest. On October 7, 2013, Officer Houston received a be on the lookout, BOLO. The BOLO instructed that a victim witnessed 3 males attempting to break into her vehicle by trying the door handle to gain entrance. She described the suspects as 3 males, one wearing a white shirt and camouflage pants, one wearing a red shirt, camouflage pants, and another wearing a backpack. The victim yelled at the suspects out of her window and the suspects fled on foot. At approximately 4:01 a.m., which was about 1 minute after receiving the BOLO, Houston came into contact with 3 individuals 6 blocks away from the victim's home. Houston illuminated one of the individuals with a spotlight and observed a man wearing a red shirt and camouflage pants standing with his torso in the bushes. The man appeared to be nervous. Simultaneously, Houston observed 2 individuals approximately 30 feet behind the individual in the bushes, walking southbound towards him. Let me just tell y'all something about Sulphur Springs, right? It's the fucking hood. It's the hood. You know what I mean? Sulphur Springs is the hood. This is somewhat leaving Sulphur Springs, but it's still the hood. And a lot of this area isn't the best maintained. The specific spot that we was at, all the grass and shit was grown out, or just the bushes were grown out, because a lot of these houses don't even have grass, they just have sand. So the same was standing in the bushes. It's either we stand by the bushes or we stand in the middle of the street. So which would look more suspicious? Sidewalk, which there isn't, or middle of the street? At that time, he believed both individuals to be male from their appearance and later determined that one individual was a female. I mean, she was gay. She had a long ponytail. She had a lineup. You know, she actually used to pull more females than us. That's why we were cool with her, because she's the one that's going to bring the girls. And we had just came from a party. We walked in and every female in there was gay. And it wasn't like, you know, gay. It was like just girl on girl everything. And we're just watching like, damn, you know, they're doing this here. They're doing this there. They're on this counter doing this. We're just, God. But yeah, it was a souped up little bit of a party. There's ecstasy, weed, liquor floating all around. And from there, he just pretty much, it's the same shit that was written in the other one, stating that, oh, we put our hands on the car, we got searched, And this is the reason why they had suspicion, and they formed it off of different cases. Now, this is where things really get into detail. This is my arrest report from when I was inside of the Falkenberg jail. So you can see the location of arrest is Falkenberg 2D Jail, Tampa, Florida. At this point, I was already arrested, which is why at the bottom, it doesn't give a report. So these charges were added on. So in my discovery, and mind you, all this shit I'm showing you isn't a discovery. A lot of y'all are confused and think the littlest piece of paper is a discovery. This isn't a discovery. My discovery had my ATF paperwork, which had every description of every single firearm that was stolen or accused to be stolen, starting from the manufacturer to the first gun store to the first owner, all of this information. It tells you how 2 detectives came to see me. They pulled me out. I was brought into the investigative room or whatever. They told me who they were. They said, look, we can help you. If you help us, what do you want to do? You can tell us to fuck off or you can help. I said, fuck off. In my discovery, they wrote piss off. They try to make it sound a little bit proper, I guess. But that's actually in my discovery. So if somebody goes and spends that money on and pulls the discovery, you'll see that. And if you do, send it to me. I'll post that picture on Instagram. Appreciate you. But same thing, gang member, yes. It tells you my tattoos, multiple on chest, right cheek. Charges, armed burglary, grand theft firearm times 15, grand theft 5,000. And then in the description and down here it says see attached page 3, read original report. Now I don't know where the fuck page 3 is. I didn't find that online. I was looking for it, but I don't know. There's just no arrest report because I wasn't arrested for it. I was already in jail and the charges were added on. But I went on my co-defendants and I actually have my co-defendants arrest report to read y'all because this actually gives a description of what happened. Now we have Tyrell, we have the location of the offense, which is where it happened. We have his address, which I'm going to block out, his personal information. No gang affiliation. Tells you his complexion, height, 6 foot, 170. Same charges, grand theft firearm, burglary. And down here in the arrest report, it says, on 10/1/2012, between whatever times, the defendant entered the victim's residence through the rear door without permission and took 15 firearms, miscellaneous jewelry, and approximately $600 in change without permission. Entrance into the residence was made by cutting the screen on the pool area. The total value of the items taken is approximately $8,330. Subsequent to arrest by the Tampa Police Department at approximately 2 something, I can't read what that says, handguns from the victim's residence were discovered in the possession of the defendant. The defendant was ID'd via Florida something. This occurred within Hillsborough County, Florida. So it basically just says that we cut the hole into the screen door, we went in, we took guns. When he was arrested at his home, they found 2 guns from that armed burglary in his house. Now this paper here is actually coming from his paperwork. This is the affidavit in support of the search warrant. I'm not going to read the whole thing because a lot of it is just shit that they have to say, but I'm going to break down the more important parts. State of Florida, County of Hillsborough, affidavit in support of search warrant. The facts tending to establish the grounds for this application and the probable cause of affiant believing that such facts exist are followed. And we're going to skip to the second page. On October 1st, 2012, between blank and blank, suspects entered the residence located at blank, Lutz, Florida, by cutting a hole into the screen pool enclosure and entering a rear door of the residence without permission. The suspects removed 15 handguns, miscellaneous jewelry, and approximately $600 in coins without permission. On October 1st, 2012, during the time frame of the armed burglary, a white Honda Civic was reported as a suspicious vehicle within the neighborhood of the burglary. Subsequently, it was discovered that a white 2001 Honda Civic is registered to Tyrell. On October 2nd, affiant spoke with Corporal C. Hathcox, who advised that he discovered one of the stolen firearms while conducting a separate investigation on Armenia Avenue, the residence of Tyrell. The victim of the residential burglary subsequently identified 2 handguns, 1 laptop, 1 DVD player, and several jewelry items discovered in Tyrell's residence as items taken from the victim's home during the armed burglary. On October 8th, a court-authorized search warrant of Tyrell's cell phone revealed a photo of 2 handguns. One of the handguns, a Ruger 45 caliber handgun, was positively identified by the victim as one taken during the aforementioned armed burglary. Now this is the paper that I received in confinement. This is the paper that fucked my head up. This is the paper that when you have someone tell on you, this is the paper that you get in the state of Florida. You're not being told on unless you get this paper. This is the additional state's witnesses. This is when your co-defendant goes from a co-defendant to a fucking state witness. This is the paper that I mailed out the same day I received it so everybody would know what the fuck was going on. State of Florida versus Jacob Goddamn Cherry. Additional list of witnesses. Tyrell blankety fucking blank, Armenia Ave, Tampa, Florida. I hereby certify that a true and correct copy of the foregoing additional list of witnesses and the above styled cause has been furnished to Jalissa Roden. That was my public defender. That bitch didn't do shit to help me. Now look at this shit. State of Florida versus Jacob Goddamn Cherry. Notice of taking prefer statement. The state of Florida gives notice that on December 14, 2012 at 10:30 a.m. at the office of the State Attorney Hillsborough County Courthouse. Before a person authorized to take depositions, the state will take the deposition by oral examination of Tyrell for the purposes of discovery or evidence or both pursuant to Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. December 14th. An early Christmas present to find out this bitch told on me. Got an oral examination. Certificate of good faith, coordination of proffer statement. Comes now Mark A. Oba, State Attorney of the 13th Judicial Court of Florida and in or for Hillsborough County, by and through the undersigned assistant, contacted counsel for the defendant Ellis Fott to coordinate a proffer statement in this matter. That's his lawyer. A date of December 14 was arrived at. If the above date is not convenient for the witness, a convenient time for all parties will be scheduled. A good faith effort has been rendered in arriving at the above date for the preferred statement. So he was really trying to look good in court. Mind you, he bonded out, got a lawyer, told on me, and then did another crime and got rearrested for that. You fucking idiot. Now this is the paper. It says his uniform plea, acknowledgement, and waiver of rights. Armed burglary of a dwelling, maximum penalty, a PBO, which is punishable by life. Grand theft third degree, grand theft firearm, which is an F3, punishable by up to 5 years. Says that he is pleading guilty. He's pleading open to the court, understands there is no agreement as to what the sentence will be. And it doesn't even say the sentencing at the bottom. Versus me, this is my plea agreement. Carrying concealed firearm, a third degree felony, max up to 5 years. I am pleading guilty. I am pleading pursuant to a plea agreement. FSP, Florida State Prison, 36 months. Now that's only on the first charge, which is a carrying a concealed firearm. Then you have my 3 additional charges: armed burglary of a dwelling, punishable by life; grand theft and grand theft of a firearm, both punishable by up to 5 years. I am pleading guilty and acknowledge I feel it is in my best interest to do so. I am pleading pursuant to a plea agreement, 36 months FSP. After that, it was a wrap. I signed that plea deal. I didn't have to worry about any other investigations, any additional charges, anything like that. I never found out what happened to Tyrell. My aunt told me that he was actually sentenced to prison. I think he got 2 in and 3 out, which is a total of 5 years. Versus if he kept his fucking mouth shut, at worst, we probably would have both got like 2 years or some shit like that. You know what I mean? With time served, I was sentenced with time served, 144 days in jail as credit. And I got about 2 months of gain time because in the beginning of my bid, I wasn't getting shit for gain time. I was in confinement. I was constantly getting DIs. Towards the end, when I actually hit Appalachia, the deadliest camp that I went to, I was able to fall back because my brothers were in a position of power. We weren't going to war. We were doing a lot of money plays. I was in school. I was able to get my GED, and I went home. But I thought it would be a cool idea to show y'all the comparison of the story that I told on Lockdown 2301 of my original arrest compared to the story that obviously the police, the witnesses, whatever, they told themselves. And it's crazy just, reading over it. I can remember everything. I can visualize everything about that night. It takes me back, and it's fucking crazy, but it's a reminder. It's a reminder to not put myself in positions like that. It's a reminder not to commit crimes so I don't have to be in court wondering what am I going to get sentenced to? What are my points going to add up to? Is somebody that I thought I was cool with going to turn state on me? That hit me hard. We weren't even that close of friends, but anytime you get told on, it's going to hit you hard. You know what I mean? And I prided myself on the fact that I didn't talk to fucking anybody. I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't going to tell. Never did it cross my mind to snitch. It's just, it was never something that I even considered. You know what I mean? Same thing going to prison. I never considered checking in and going PC. If I'm going to get hit up, I'm going to get hit up. I'm going to wear that sky like a stripe. And one day I'm going to tell my story. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening to me tell my story. But hey, it's 1090 J. I'm rocking with y'all like y'all rocking with me. Till next time.